Today's bread is Mark 6, 5 to 6, and it says, "And he could there do no mighty work, save that he laid his hands upon a few sick folk and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief, and he went round about the villages teaching." So when Jesus went to his home country, he couldn't do all the mighty works he used to do in other places because they didn't have faith. It was because of their unbelief. Now, what Jesus now did was he marveled, but then he went about teaching in the villages. Why? Because that's the way to activate their faith. Faith comes by hearing and hearing of the word of God, and then he had to teach them so that their faith will come alive. Now, many people could be prayed for, but they will not be healed because of unbelief. Very true. And then I'll give you an example for this. In Mark 5, from verse 25, it says, "And a certain woman which had an issue of blood 12 years, and had suffered many things of many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was nothing bettered, but rather grew worse. When she had heard of Jesus, came in the press behind, and touched his garment. For she said, If I may touch but his clothes, I shall be whole. And straightway the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that virtue had gone out of him, turned him about in the press and said, Who touched my clothes? And his disciples said unto him, Thou seest the multitude thronging thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And he looked round about to see her that had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what was done in her, came and fell down before him and told him all the truth. And he said unto her, Daughter, thy faith has made thee whole. Go in peace and be whole of thy plague. So many people were touching him, just like the disciples said, but there was no change, no difference. He didn't feel virtue leave him. But that faith drew out of the virtue, the healing virtue in Jesus. He drew out of that virtue, and she got her healing, and she was made whole. So faith makes things happen. Faith brings healing. Faith brings forth great and mighty things. Faith brings forth mighty works.